You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh, how
you know what time it is. I'm raw with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive. Stiff arms to your jaw, we breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown, we taking it.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys. This is the BBC Mafia Family Sit Down. I'm Tony. That's Shaun and TG. All right, we're all here. How's everybody doing? Natty week. How we doing?
Good. I'm great.
TG. Yep. All right. Cool. So yeah, I think we're just gonna get into what will be hopefully the coronation that we've all been waiting for. Saying the king will be crowned, and we just got that coming up. Listen, let's start first. First and foremost, I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now. To quote Ryan Day, like their weird relationship that they have going on now has gotten so weird and contentious. Like Lou Holtz essentially said, like if they lose, Ryan Day's job. Like, well, that's a weird way to put it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I don't know why you would be like, hey, if we lose, like we're saving Ryan Day. Like it's like a backhanded compliment or insult to yours. I don't know. Lou Holtz confuses me. He's old. He's like right on Biden status of just like being a Roomba and not knowing where he is. I think so. Like, but yeah. What do you guys think about that? Like, I think it's just an odd way to go about it. I think,
they just need to have him shut up. I mean, honestly, he's just trying to stay relevant, man. I mean, come on. He's got to have parts of dementia or, Alzheimer's. I mean, he's lucky if he wears pants, man. Come on. He should be happy about that, man. I mean, he's irrelevant. I mean, it just goes to show you they're picking up people that the last time they were relevant was 88. Last time they wanted natty. So, and Holtz was the coach. I get it. But, I mean, there's no Tony Rice. There's no Tim Brown. There's no Rocket Ishmael to come save you guys. You guys are going to lose. And, the old man can just stay in the retirement home and play bingo and just shut his mouth.
Yeah. I mean,
isn't this the same guy who literally said this last year, and yet y'all lost to the worst quarterback in the last 15 years at Ohio State at Common Core?
We played them in 22. We played them in 23. And like, to me, this is how poetic it's going to be. Like, think about where we started in 2023. It's the most uninspired, like, most ridiculous team, like, with Kyle McCord, who's like this, like, a statue walking, playing quarterback, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, think how that game started and went. And it was just like, and we had the moment afterwards of Lou Holtz talking crap before, and then Ryan Day, squaring up essentially with an old man after the game, like where's Lou Holtz at? Like to now, like and the ups and downs we've been like that whole season, like how it ended, 6 points, we lost by 6 points with like kind of the worst quarterback around to the eventual national championships. Cut to this year, high hopes, and it's been a very up and down season of like Oregon, oh no, back up, and then obviously the one game that like shall not be mentioned. Cut to like now, like think about how poetic it would be to like walk out now beating Notre Dame again, like we should have beat them in 2023. You know what I'm saying? Like it's to come full circle to just smack people around and be like, there we are. You know what I'm saying? Like it's what we should have been 2 years ago. So I think it's a very poetic way to go about it. I think it's fitting that we are going to go out smacking Notre Dame around.
I mean, because.
Oh, sorry, Shaun. Go ahead.
Besides Michigan. I mean, this is the second team I hate the worst. I mean, if you look, they're kind of like Michigan's cousin because they both are so arrogant and they both live off their past, achievements. I mean, at least Michigan was relevant last year. I mean, Notre Dame, you had a decent season this year. I'll give it to you, but you guys are frauds, and we're going to prove that on Monday when you get smacked by 28 to 35 points.
Yeah, TG.
I mean, I would say, isn't this like Notre Dame team pretty similar to like the 2012 Notre Dame team who everybody thought was good? Then they wet the Alabama Crimson Tide, or what happened?
listen, yeah,
That's
this is
smack.
another because you know what's crazy is Alabama shouldn't actually been in that game. It should have been us in that game against Notre Dame.
Mhm.
But we had the Gene Smith debacle of like not taking the bowl ban, so we got smacked there.
Yeah.
And, like, wow, man, like here we are, like we're just righting wrongs this year. You know what I'm saying? We're letting these seniors go out, like, and erasing them, making people legends like Jack Sawyer that like people thought like would have never, like this senior class had never done anything. 0-11 in their goals, and like they walk out the door with like the most epic run in college football history. Like nobody's gonna ask like what they did before that. They're just gonna go, that team, most epic team ever.
Did you guys see on X where Jay Book was posting the Michigan message board during the Texas Ohio State game? They were losing their freaking minds, man. Michigan fans were going crazy. Oh my Lord. The things they were saying, they were so upset that Jack Sawyer scored the winning, got the strip sack for the touchdown.
Those were Mr. Ohio, buddy. Like,
they hate us and they hate Notre Dame, and now they got to watch us in the Natty. They're suffering over there, and I love every minute of it.
That's something new, bro.
Yep. So, like, I guess we can get into we'll get into the game and stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched much of Notre Dame this year. They did have the ridiculous loss to Directional Illinois or whoever.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Northern Illinois. Yeah.
And
Directional Illinois. Like literally, it's like that loss is a bad loss to a MAC team. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's right. Like, and Marcus Freeman, like, has admittedly like have struggled with the MAC. He's got a MAC problem, just like Ryan Day's got a Michigan problem. So then he lost to Marshall the year before, when they lost to us, and like I think they lost to NIU. It's just wild that they, their offense has been so inept all year. Like it was like, what is it, 13-14 or something like that they lost to NIU, and like they lost like 1 point, I think, something like that. And like literally it's just their offense, they have no offense whatsoever. Like beat, who do they really beat even in this run? Like they beat Indiana, right? Like, so they exposed Indiana, which we had already done. So they had the game plan, and then they beat Georgia without anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like Georgia this is a super down year for Georgia with no second string quarterback who obviously can't play. It was an inept Georgia team that was on the way out anyway. And so like, and Penn State gave you that game. I don't think Notre Dame beat them. You know what I'm saying? Penn State just James Franklin the game, and that's how they won. They backdoored into the Natty. We've beaten every team that's been the three biggest hitters in the playoffs by double digits, and somehow we're expected to go there and believe that they're going to beat us. Like, seems like a wild pipe dream to me.
Well, I mean, they got a great defense. I'll give them that, and they ran the ball well. But they've had so many injuries now. Their offensive line is like a mash unit. Love their best running back, who is a stud. I'll give him props, but he's all banged up. He's got a bad wheel. I mean, he'll be like James of Oregon. He'll be tapping out in the second quarter. He won't be able to finish the game. They have so many injuries that I don't think, even if they were healthy, I still think we beat them by 14, if not more. I mean, Do you think I'm wrong, TG?
Not really. If you're asking me, though, the one thing about this Notre Dame team is like every Notre Dame team we've seen, they're untested. They haven't really faced anyone. Like, think about this. Who's the toughest test they faced thus far? Penn State, right?
Northern Illinois, technically.
Well, what's funny about it, too, is I actually went to NIU. The very school that they lost to, I went to. Nice. So,
man, they used to have a good program. No, they're no joke in the MAC. I mean, they were in the MAC for a while. So, I mean,
yeah, that's the thing, though. But when I look at Notre Dame and I listen to them and I listen to the fans, I'm like, are you guys aware that you guys, every year, you have the softest schedule? When y'all face a real team, like we've seen what happens when y'all face Ohio State, and then when y'all lose, y'all team don't handle it well. So, like, why am I expecting y'all to come up in here thinking you're gonna actually beat Ohio State when Ohio State's been the tested team? Look at the teams they went up against. Look at the defenses. I mean, I would actually play everybody look on Junk on Buck's show because he had a graphic, and I looked it up for myself as well. And I'm like, dude, look at the defenses. They went up against the top 15 defenses in 1 year, and they're about to go up against your defense, which is number 4. The literally. So, what defenses have you went up against? The good ones are in the playoffs. Those are the best ones you went up against, and we saw how your offense looked inept. So, now what offenses have you faced?
USC is probably their toughest, I would say, besides Indiana. I mean, Penn State,
and guess what?
have a big one. Nobody.
And guess what? None of them are nothing like Ohio State's offense. Not even close.
Nope.
And guess what? No, like USC was having a fun day against their the defense. That was what was funny to me. Like, what usually would give me pause was, well, Notre Dame, when they play Ohio State, they usually do play the wide receivers very well. Usually. That was one of the biggest reasons I gave them respect, was because I'm like, well, I could see them giving the wide receivers problems, but at the same time, it's like, ooh, you know what? With the way I've seen this team play, it's like I almost question whether or not they actually can. Especially because, like, your corners, your DBs are slow.
Big and slow.
Slow. I'm like, hold on a minute. Y'all DBs last year was able to keep up with this Ohio State team. I'm like, the speed that's now on this team, dude. I mean, did you see Georgia's tight end in the game against Notre Dame?
Dude, he smoked that cornerback. Like, ran right past him like the kid was in sand. It was ridiculous, dude.
I'm like, you got outran by a slow tight end. We're not talking about Darnell Washington or Brock Bowers. It's some unknown tight end I don't even know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like, G Scott should be able to smoke those kids. Like,
he is.
G ain't like that, you know what I'm saying? G is literally, he's on it. So,
well, if you look, they lost their best defensive lineman too. The 300-pounder that was in the middle, he blew his knee out 2 games ago.
He's still got 88 pounds.
So, I mean, they got Cross, who's a good defensive tackle. But I mean, other than that, their big run stoppers gone. I think we're going to be able to run the ball on them. I think we'll be able to do whatever we want. Actually, first we'll start with the pass and we'll open it up. Then I think we'll just start wearing them down on the run. So,
if you look at the Penn State game, but yeah, Penn State, if they wouldn't have James Franklin in the game, could have just ran the ball down their throat. And I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Travion and Quinshawn are every bit as good as, if not better, than Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. So, like, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to run the ball down their throat, like, pretty easily. And like, Lacey had made a comment earlier, like, that she was still nervous. Like, listen, I'm still having a panic attack. Don't get it wrong. I just manage panic attacks well. Like, I am in complete, like, this cannot happen, spiraling out of, off the face of the earth, the sky is falling mode. But I am like that at every game. And, like, literally, like, this is no different. But, like, it's the same feeling I had before the 2014 Oregon game. Like, when we had beaten Bama, like, we had already slayed the dragon. Like, we just got to get home with the loot now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, we just have to, like, I was nervous then. And, like, everybody, there was things like, in that game where, like, Oregon's super fast and then blah, blah, blah. But I knew in my heart, like, nah, listen, like, there's, like, you can say all you want, but, like, you're never going to convince me that, like, we're going to go in there and, like, we just played the worst game we played in a while, like, since the Michigan game. And it was even probably worse than the Nebraska game. And we still pulled it out. And that's the one thing that made me change my mind about, like, being completely worried is Ryan Day doesn't have luck like that. We don't pull out close games like that. As you've seen the Georgia game and the Clemson game and all the games where we crapped the bed before, we didn't do it this time. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, it worked out. Like, the ball doesn't ever bounce in our favor. We don't ever get calls. And all of a sudden we did. So, like, I'm convinced.
Well, every time that both times this year that we've played bad, we've rebounded mighty well, and they've come out firing. So I have no doubt. I mean, zero worries that we're going to come out bad. I think we're just going to come out. We're going to hit them hard, hit them in the mouth, be aggressive, jump on them, and we're not going to look back. Then they're going to try to play catch up with a quarterback who has trouble throwing the ball past 15 yards.
No skills, bro. Like, he can run.
The only time he did do it is when somebody on his receiving unit somehow got open.
He's white. He's white Alex Orgy. That's all he is.
Pretty much. Except he don't have the athleticism of an Alex Orgy. At least Alex Orgy got some athleticism.
I mean, Riley Leonard can run, but I mean, listen, to be fair, Alex Orgy might have some athleticism, but that kid that quit the other quarterback on Michigan, like, was more athletic than him. So like, he's not that athletic. Let's call a spade here. Like,
True.
he can't throw the ball more than 10 yards this far off the ground, and he was an okay runner, but we've seen better runners. So I mean, Riley Leonard's got, skills to run, and that's it. But like, literally, that's it. Like, that's all he's got. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's coming from. He's and I was worried about running quarterbacks because we had a problem with him, but like, Dylan Gabriel is a runner. Like, he showed that in the first game against us. And what did we do? Well, we just sacked him 8 times and he ran for nothing. So not a big deal.
I mean, typically, I think the type of quarterbacks Ohio State tend to struggle with are dual threats, guys who can both pass and run. The straight up runners, I think they can handle, because if he can't pass, they don't have to worry about it.
No, we're going to put Denzel. We're going to put, Iggy on the other side. We're going to lock the receivers down. Then we'll put the people in the box, and we'll make them one-dimensional. And they're not going to be able to, run the ball, and they're going to force them to pass the ball. I mean, and if Leonard, he's going to try to run. If he can even make it through the second quarter, I will give him, mad props. But we're going to beat the living tar out of him like we've done to everybody else.
But that should be part of our predictions, is who's going to quit on Notre Dame, because somebody's quitting every other game. So like, I just want to know, we're just taking bets on who's going to win or who's going to quit. You know what I'm saying, on the other team. So with that, like, so I think we could probably get into, since we talked about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that we've done really talked about their defense, but like, what on Ohio State's side, like, we'll go with this first. What's the one matchup or the 1 or 2 matchups you're looking for in this game? You know what I'm saying? We've talked about that before in other games, Shaun. Like, what's the matchup you're looking for here? Like, what's the thing there's always been a matchup in the other games. Like, what's the one in this game that you're like looking at?
Going in the trenches, man, our defensive line. Let's hunker down. Let's dominate their offensive line, and let's take the run game away. I mean, make them one-dimensional. You make Riley Leonard have to beat you. You can put your both your corners on islands and bring the heat on him if he drops back. I mean, pin your ears back. You stop that run, they're done.
I would say for me, it's I kind of want to see how their corners match up against Ohio State's receivers this matchup. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because Jeremiah Smith was obviously like non-existent last game for whatever reason. Like, I've heard it both ways, that he was, triple covered. A lot of times I heard he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It was just like not, the game plan wasn't working out. I know he was open sometimes. We've talked about that. Like, but
he was, there were times that, but Will missed him, but there are times he was double covered at times. Yeah. So it makes sense. Plus, that was, I mean, you knew that was going to be Texas' game plan. Jeremiah, no. Everybody else, okay. But that's where the game plan is like, well, when you got athletes like what Ohio State has, they can beat you.
Well, yeah, Connor Tate still ate really well. You know what I'm saying? He was the leading receiver in the whole game. Like, he would have had a touchdown if he wouldn't have dropped that one that hit him square in the hands in the end zone. But like, Quinshawn ran it in the next play. But still, like, I think it's impossible to take all. You can't take. There's no way. There's not enough people in the field to double cover Emeka, Carnell, and JJ, and not leave like what else? Who are you covering then? Like, Quinshawn and them are just going to walk out of the backfield. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there's no way to accurately cover all those athletes. I think for me, the biggest matchup, like, I mean, TG said that was going to be mine, but like, I think the other matchup I would say is like our offensive line against their defensive line. Just in general, like, I want to see like our offensive line push them around like Penn State did, and us run the ball effectively, like we did earlier in the playoffs. Like, I think just really like, obviously we're gonna have to pass to open it up, but like once we do it, like, have Travion spring another big, he's one step away from, a 90-yard touchdown every time he touches the ball. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? We threw the most mundane screen pass ever, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where's the defenders at? There's nobody out here. Like, they have a wedge and there's one defender. Like, there's no way Travion's not running. And he ran, dude, that was video game speed he had. I've never seen him run that fast as he did in that Texas game, in that play. Like, it didn't even look like people were chasing him. It was ridiculous.
I can't believe they brought pressure on it like that. I mean, you would expect a team either going to run either a draw, a delay, or a screen pass. And for them to bring pressure on that was that's probably the dumbest call they did all game, besides the toss sweep and overtime. Remember the two plays that really, killed Texas, in my opinion.
How many guys did they bring? Because I thought they only brought 4 guys.
Well, no, they sent a corner too.
They sent a corner
on the other side.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I didn't see that guy. Because I'm like, I saw everybody else drop back. Saw like 4 dudes. I did not see the corner. That's why I'm like, you had a bunch of dudes drop back. So where were they at?
Well, Will even held on to the ball an extra second, so that he got sucked in even more, and he dumped it right over his head. And
yeah, the corner.
Travion set it up just like a punt return. He let his blockers, get in front of him, and he just picked the lane, and he was off to the races.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the best part of it. I'm like, I wish you could actually do that on a punt return more often, actually.
Yeah, it was wild too, because like never does that happen with 29 seconds left. Like there's 29 seconds left, and like if you heard the story, like they practice that screen all the time. They've been practicing it all year. Like every practice, they practice it hard. And like somebody said one time, like, why do we even practice this? We never run it. And
I think this is why they run it in times like this when they need it.
They asked Ryan Day, like, what do you want to run? He said, why don't we run that screen pass? Like, because they were just talking about it like previously, like the day before or something. And then he was like, yeah, let's run that screen pass. Like we practice all the time. And obviously it plays off. Like been practicing it for 15 games. All of a sudden, like it didn't
never know
defenders out there.
You never know when you're gonna need it.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest too. Like the one thing you got to compliment is Travion's vision and the way he like moved around to get that kind of open space, because he let the block set up, but at the same time he also maneuvered his way to getting all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, the one dude that was like, oh no, that dude's got an angle, like, and was like partially blocked. Travion like did some weird video game just zigzag and was like, as soon as he hit that zag, he was running so like it didn't even look like people were chasing him and he was pulling away so fast. Like, good lord.
Yeah, that was funny. I honestly watched like Kirk Barton. I watched him break it down. That's why I'm like, okay, because the vision. Because people used to say Trey don't have vision. Seeing that too, Trey has vision.
He's got his moments. Like, listen, every now and then he's got a lapse in like, okay, I don't think you saw that one, but like he's shown at least like, especially in the playoffs, like literally, like he'll just hit holes and you're like, dude, he's gone. Like there was like almost no hole there, and he'll hit it, and then all of a sudden he's through, and you're like, oh, he's gone. It's over. Like there's nobody there. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference with Trey this year is he's actually healthy for once, man. I mean, last few years he's been beat up the whole year. I mean, ankle sprains, pulled muscles. I mean, he's been beat up.
Not to mention he came back early in 22, and he wasn't playing the same after that. Like he came back from injury too early. He was hurt. You can still see it.
I think the thing that I think has made Trey better though is Quinshawn.
Yeah,
like Trey runs with purpose now. Like before, like he was, quick and like now he runs like Quinshawn runs, but he's faster than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to take away from Quinshawn at all. The way he ran in that game and that block he threw in the Texas game, like he ended that dude's whole life. And then like when he was running, dude, he was just running through people, smacking people out the way. Like
took his soul.
Yeah, he's telling people get on the ground, get on my way,
running through people. So not taking anything away from him because he's been that other punch of like he's the thunder to the fucking to Trey's lightning. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, not to mention he has the home run ability too. Don't forget this guy's has 80-yard touchdowns before, so it's not like he couldn't do it either.
He was the leading rusher in the SEC and in the country, like as a true freshman and sophomore. So like I do not doubt
both of them are on their way to 1,000 yards in the same season. Imagine.
Crazy. They're both playing at. I mean, they're both at the same time playing at elite level. I mean, they're both at hitting their peak right now. So I mean, last game they were both killing it. I mean, Quinshawn between the tackles and Trey on the outside last game, it couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, those inside the tackle runs that he ran like in the red zone was just like he was just bowling over people. Like, oh god, nobody's stopping him. Like, so that leads me to, since we're talking about this, like we can start with offense. Like, give me 2 offensive players who need to be the MVP of this game for us to win.
I'm gonna go with I'll give you one, then I'll let TG give you one. I'm gonna go with Will Howard. I'm looking for him to close out his Ohio State career with a big game. I'm gonna say 350 yards again, about 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Maybe, I'll say Carnell for me, because they're gonna double JJ and they're gonna try to take away Mecca. He got to step up.
Yes, sir. We got some ones in the chat. Jeremiah and Will,
of course.
Will and Trey. You know what I'm saying? I think my number one. Those 2 are good. man, honestly, if you really think about it, I think like, man, I'm gonna steal a Devin move here, and I'm gonna go the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Like for my first one, I'm gonna go the offensive line because like I think that's I think they need to show up and like show out like listen, just because they're patchwork or whatever, like those kids like have experience and they're gonna go show like listen, we're better than Penn State and everybody, and we're gonna push around and we're gonna do what we want on this. Podfather in the house, Podfather alert.
Hey, Eric.
Eric from Ohio Pod. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna go the offensive line, and then I think it really is what it has to be to show up. Like they didn't play that great against Texas. They did at times. They also didn't. So like, what about let's hear your second one, TG. Let's go with you first.
For me, I'm gonna say Jack Sawyer. Obviously, we need that guy.
What was that we were doing? We're gonna do 2 on offense.
I mean,
We already did 2.
Whatever. Sorry. Go ahead. Yep. Defense. Yep.
Yeah, so I said Jack. Obviously, Jack. I want him to have a big game, not only because it's gonna help us win, but I want him to have his moment. Obviously, that guy deserves it.
He's had ever since that flag planting thing. Like he's been super possessed, and he's been Mr. Ohio, killing it. Just Captain Jack, battling for the pride. And just listen, that man's our honor to defend all the way through and through.
The third Bosa brother, like everybody expected him to be when he came in.
For sure.
I'm going to go Caleb Downs.
Sorry,
I was going to say that, when it comes down to it, with both Jack and JT, the both of them have had some of the best games you've ever seen of an edge rusher. The best games better than Chase Young, Joey, Nick. None of those guys had the games that these two have had.
Dude, that Penn State game that JTT had, like his coming out party was like, whoa, dude.
Legendary. Yeah. I'm like, where was that coming from?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just everybody expected him to do it every game, and that's that's not possible.
I didn't. That's hard to do, man. Like you're not like now pulling that out in a game like that, a big game like that against some first rounders, because it's not like he's doing it against scrubs. The dude is doing it against elite first rounders, and he was just having himself the game of his life.
Listen though, the tackle that Jack beat is projected to be like the second or third tackle off the board in the first round of the NFL draft. So like
that's what makes it even more impressive. Both JT and Jack do this against first round elite offensive linemen. They don't do this against scrubs.
Absolutely. Did you have a second one, TG?
The other one was going to be JT just because of that alone.
Just going the bookends. I like it.
Pretty much.
I'm going to go with the 2 guys in the back end of the defense, Latham Ransom and Caleb Downs. I think they're gonna just come up and clean up. I mean, one of them might be Spy and Leonard, or we might have Cody doing it. But I think those guys are just gonna have a couple. One of them have a pick for sure, and I think they're just gonna start headhunting people like they have been the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so late to go put somebody in the hospital.
Dude, people are gonna have like group therapy sessions with PTSD over Latham Ransom. Like they wake up in the middle of the night screaming like, just Latham Ransom flashback.
They're waking up from nightmares, just like seeing Latham come right at them and smack him right in the head.
I mean, the kid deserves it, man. He went through hell last year with that knee injury, and he's been injured.
Like he's had a bad run, man. Like
so
he gets so much crap put on him, like because he was put in a bad position in the Georgia game and stuff, whatever, and like got smoked, fell down, and like that's what everybody remembered him for. It was like that wasn't his job, you know what I'm saying? And so I think, Latham Ransom he's been playing like a man possessed. Like he was quietly like the second best player in the country for a while. He's not so quiet about it anymore. So him and Caleb Downs are back there being
the best safeties.
Yep.
Best safety, you can make an argument of all time in Ohio State history.
And that says a lot because Ohio State's had some safeties for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny, Nicky, and Mike Doss were really good. I mean, got us a natty. So these guys are just more athletic than them 2 were. But I mean, and we can't forget about Hancock either because we're playing 3 safeties a lot.
The Jordan Hancock is.
I mean, he's a hybrid of everything.
Yep.
He's a hybrid. Let's be honest. He could play slot corner. nickel. He could play outside, and he could play safety. Oh, we're gonna miss that. That versatility, we're gonna miss that.
Well, he plays the run so good too. So I mean, he can come up in the box if you needed him to. I mean, he's just that talented.
You think those three kids like are together? Like, if I had three safeties, I couldn't pick three better safeties in Ohio State history. I don't think than those three. You know what I'm saying? And especially at what they do. You know, like what they all specifically do is just they're so good at it, so good. Since you guys picked obviously the safeties, and then you picked the bookends. I'm gonna clean up the middle here. I'm gonna go Cody Simon, who's been playing has played himself into much higher rounds in the NFL draft right now. And I'm gonna go Tyleek Williams. I think Tyleek gets in there and eats this game. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Tyleek is gonna just buffet it. I think he has to. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be fair, like I feel really good because the Texas game, I called the Jack Sawyer thing. I said, you know what I'm saying? Like Jack was that. And I called Will Howard and I literally said 276 passing. They had like 293 or something. Like I was like 20 yards off of essentially the passing number. So like I feel like this game we're right there too.
Oh, I was mad that Caleb Downs went down on that last interception because I predicted 35-14. It was 28-13. I'm like, score.
Man, yeah.
Like, come on.
Look, you knew he was gonna do it in all fairness, out of respect. To be respectful.
He did the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
I got no issues with that, man.
I know Will Howard wanted to score that touchdown when he took off running and broke free. And the turf got him. Like, it was the best. He should have just went down there anyway. Like, that was the best thing to happen.
Yeah, that was the correct thing because it took time. It took a lot of time off the clock.
I'll tell you what. Before that play, though, the play of the game in the offense was G. Scott's play, man. His hustle and him
G. Scott
crawling forward. Yeah, falling forward. So it was, fourth and manageable instead of fourth and 5 or 6.
It would have been 4th and 7 if he'd have caught it right there. Like he got 5 extra yards that literally made it 4th and and maybe we still go for it there, but we don't run quarterback power.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Will Howard doesn't get 18 yards and trip over himself. Like that just doesn't happen. But I think we may still go for it at that point. But yeah, like 4th and 7 at that point in the game is a bad look as opposed to 4th and 2. Because like once we hit 4th and 2, like I think everybody knew it was going to happen. Like everybody's like, oh, they're going to run Will Howard, and they just smashed everybody off the ball. And like even Will got so excited, like you saw it, like he took off running so fast that his feet got like the rug got pulled off underneath him. Like
running on that turf it ain't fun, bro. He always slips on the turf.
Well, I'll tell you what though, I was glad that they ran him that time, but the time before when it was 4th down and 1, instead of just taking the quarterback sneak, they tried running to the outside. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, every time we get a 4th and 1, we should be running that quarterback sneak or running Will Howard because every time he does it, he gets the first down. I mean,
and gets more yards.
I think every offensive coordinator thinks they're being sneaky at that point. Like they all have this weird delusion of like, nah. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. And every other defensive coordinator goes, listen, there's only 2 options here: sneak, or they're gonna try to run the toss. Like that's usually the 2 top options. And the Texas fell into the same thing later in the game. They're 2nd and 2 from the 2-yard line, or 2nd and 1 from the 2-yard line or 1-yard line, and they're like, oh no, they think we're gonna run Arch Manning. This is a perfect Arch Manning. Nah, we're gonna throw the toss.
No, Arch couldn't come back in, bro. He was not out.
Either way, like that would have been a perfect place for him to come in. But either way, like we all thought, like there's no way they don't fall in here, and literally they were like, no, we're gonna do the toss thing, catch him off guard. Because sometimes the toss does work. You do catch him off guard, and that dude just walks in. Except for when you have Caleb Downs and Latham Ransom like snarling on the other side of the line, looking at the dude that's about to get the ball and get shot out of a cannon. That's a bad look. Because Jim Knowles, he said at the press conference afterward, he said, listen, there's always a chance. It's usually like they run the sneak or they run the toss every time, like in that area. We do the same thing. He said that in the press conference. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the option. And he said Caleb and Latham just diagnosed it early. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it was like the slowest, weirdest pitch ever. Just so
I don't get it when these teams go into shotgun on a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 1. You should be under center and going with the tush push. I mean, 99% of the time you're going to get the first down. If you try running to the outside or you're running out of the shotgun, you're 4 or 5 yards back. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
With somebody like Will Howard, dude. Will Howard's our size. You're saying like, dude, I could fall into a group of people and like wiggle enough way to get 2 or 3 yards. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Like,
he was
I'm
averaging. I mean, he was averaging like 3 to 4 yards on a sneak. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, but you never know what goes through the inscrutable mind of an offensive coordinator. Sometimes they do the strangest things. So, okay. So now that we got our players of the game and all that stuff or whatever, let's get this is the fun part of the show where we do ridiculous predictions or plausible predictions or whatever. You predict something that's going to happen on January 20th involving these two teams. So, by all means, Sean, you are.
I'm not going to think this. I'm not going to say this is crazy or anything, but I think Emeka breaks both the records: the reception, and the receiving yards, all-time receiving yards for Ohio State. Last game, I mean, guys, the heartbeat of that receiver room. He's the leader. I think he goes out on top, natty champion and record holder.
I agree. Also, Mecca looks like a super. Like JJ looks like an NFL receiver. Mecca also looks like very much he could start in the NFL right now. If you look at him, but anyway, sorry.
And people do forget about him sometimes too. That's because he's like, you got so many other talented dudes that he be overshadowed by that people do forget about him sometimes.
Yep, I agree. But TG, so let's get like a reasonable prediction here. We get crazier as we go along here. And the chat obviously can kick in. They've got some bangers come out of there sometimes. So,
if I had to say a reasonable prediction, I think I'm gonna say the defensive line gets at least like 5 sacks.
5? All right.
Yeah.
You want to hear a crazy stat? We've had 16 sacks in the playoffs. We had 35 for the regular season. We've in 3 games we have half our sack total for the season. Like, that's wild. That is wild. Like, we had 4 in the Tennessee game, 4 in the last game, and 8 against Oregon. Like, what is happening? That's wild.
Oh, that's actually part of my outrageous type prediction, actually.
I mean, like, everybody's mutant abilities have been activated. They're all just turning into aliens. It's insane. So, what was your prediction, TG? Defensive line?
The 5 sacks, reasonable.
5 sacks. I'm going to go with, let's see, reasonable. I'm going to say we rush for 150 yards and Quintron and Trey split a couple touchdowns.
That's reasonable.
Yep. Put that on it. All right, let's get another prediction. See, like, give me like kind of a, let's go out on a limb here. Let's see something if we can pick something up crazy, because something seems to happen crazy in all these games. So, like, what's your crazy prediction?
Go ahead, GG.
I would say the defense gets like 12 sacks by the end of this game. 12.
5 to 12. Okay.
12 to 15 sacks at least. Because I can see it.
Well, I mean, we had 8 against Oregon. What's 4 more?
Yeah, that 15, maybe 20.
Sean,
I'm not going 1.
2, Sean?
I'm not going 2. I'm not going 3. I'm going 4 interceptions, man.
4 interceptions.
Because they're going to force Riley Leonard to have to beat him with the pass, and I think it's going to be open season. It's going to be like duck hunting, because he's going to be throwing those wounded ducks up there, and Caleb and Ransom and the boys are going to eat.
So put a name on it. Who gets the 4?
I think Ransom, Downs, Iggy, and I'll go Hancock.
All right.
I think they stay away from
Denzel.
I think they stay away from Denzel.
But who knows what's going on with Denzel though? Like, we don't know if he's injured. If he's listen.
No, he was injured. He was injured.
Listen, I think this is my crazy prediction: is Jermaine Matthews comes in, balls out, and does get an interception, like, or forces a fumble. Like because Jermaine Matthews balled out last time when he was in there. Like, shout out Jermaine Matthews for sure. That kid has got it. So, like, but I would definitely start Burks if you can, or Burke if you can. I said Burks, not you, Burks. Denzel Burke. But yeah, no, I think Jermaine Matthews comes in and shows out like right when he should.
Well, the kid would start anywhere else, man. He's just his luck.
Oh, he's going to start next year.
Yep. I mean, his luck is he's stuck behind 2, Big Ten, All-American cornerbacks. So that's where he's kind of stuck. But I mean, he'd be starting elsewhere right now if he didn't have the guys in front of him. So
You can say that about our other backup DBs too, man. That's what's crazy.
Aaron Scott, Bryce West, all those kids, gangster. Like, I'm super happy that I love all those kids. I think they have a bright future. Oh, we got a G Scott touchdown prediction in there. I think
I can see that.
I think GE
Steel man. Steely's been famous today, man. He's got on our show and he got on the Bobby Carpenter show too, man. Way to be, Steely.
Wow, Steely.
Steely, yeah.
Oh, if you really want an outrageous type, or kind of crazy prediction, say the tight ends in this game have the type of game that Luke Farrell and Jeremy Rucker had against Clemson back in 2020. Do y'all remember that game?
They called out, dude, but nobody saw it coming either. Nobody saw it coming. Everybody's like, Jeremy who? Rucker? Okay. Like, they balled out, dude. Like, and Clemson they didn't see it coming at all. So, I mean, I hope so. Like, I really hope the tight ends have been kind of shining. G, for all the grief we gave him this year, has like showed up and done it in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, caught that first pass against Oregon. It was like, woo, okay, G's here. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's actually what's wonderful. Give Keenan Bailey the credit for what he's done with that tight end room, because everybody was skeptical of him, and then look at what he's done.
As much as I don't,
an unsung hero in that room is Bennett Christian, man, because the guy's a heck of a blocker, man. I know he's caught one or two, and he had a touchdown catch from Julian Sane, but earlier this year they made fun of him because he fell to the ground and the ball hit him in the head. So everybody kind of dogged him for that early in the year. But
he also had to sit out a year for steroids, so like he's not had the best run at Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, he's the best blocker, but he wasn't the best pass catcher. He's now starting to come around to becoming that.
Yeah, I think he's coming into his own. And I listen. I hope Jelani's been like non-existent this year, and that's been kind of sad because the kid's got all the talent in the world. Don't know why he disappeared into the ether.
I'll say this. I think what Jelani is, he's developing his own pace, because it's not like Keenan Bailey hasn't been getting at him. Because there are times he's came into this game where he's been putting dudes on their butt as a blocker. Because he's been in there as a blocker. He just hasn't done anything as a pass catcher yet. The next step, I think, we'll try to get him to become a better pass catcher.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, he's just, I think everybody thought he was going to move on. And like, as much, there was a point in this year where, like, I hate to admit this, but like, might have sported a fire Keenan Bailey hashtag. Because listen, to be fair, Keenan Bailey was not exactly killing it at the beginning of the year, and the tight ends looked not like they do now. And so I apologize.
What did y'all think they were supposed to, though?
I mean, listen, I think everybody was playing at like 60 or 70% at the beginning of the year, and we know that now. But like at the beginning of the year, it was very disappointing. Like, wait a second, like maybe we're not as talented as we thought. Like, and we are. We're just the holding back principles and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, like Keenan Bailey was not exactly killing it, and then all of a sudden, like he signed Nate Roberts and Brody Lennon. Like he like stirs up the tight end room. All of a sudden, G starts to like show up. They're blocking a little bit more. Will Kazmarek has the big catch in the Oregon game. All that's like all of a sudden they've slowly emerged, and now Keenan Bailey looks like the conquering hero because like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. It just took all year. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah, I mean that's what I expected though. I figured, hey, look, if I didn't expect the tight end room to be great from the get go, I'm like, if Keenan Bailey is able to develop these guys as the season goes on and they start popping, we got our tight end coach for the foreseeable future.
I mean, I just don't understand with Thurman. He's so big and athletic. Why are we not throwing him jump balls in the corner of the end zone?
Well, they did that once, and he really mistimed it bad.
Like, where he can take advantage of his
jumps. That's the problem. Yep. That's the problem. He mistimes them. He'll get there. Like I said, he's already developed as a blocker. Like, the dude's been phenomenal as a blocker this year. It's developing him now as a pass catcher that is going to be the next step that I think they take next year.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, Keenan Bailey's been in the program for a minute. He was like, he was like a QA and whatever. He's been there for 6 or 7 years, like the essentially the whole Ryan Day time. He's been there. So like, it's good to see him come up and like doing well, and like, and he's the recruiting. Like, I think he nailed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went out and got the 2 kids on his board that were, Nate Roberts, I think, is going to be able to start next year, or not start, but like contribute like on a level more so than people starting. You know what I'm saying? As you see, we don't play a whole lot of freshmen here. And so, like, they're, I think Dave Robinson really come in and actually do something. And Brody Leonard, like, is a little bit more developmental, but, like, I think he's going to kill it, too. Like, I like those pickups. And,
Max Clare.
Yeah, I forgot we got the kid. That's right. Like, he went out and got the number one transfer portal tight end when we technically didn't really need him. Like we had those two kids coming in, and I feel like we'd have been okay. But now we're definitely going to be okay. And like if Nate Roberts can contribute, it's going to be a little bit. But like now he can develop more. So like by the time Matt Clare leaves, like we're going to have killers. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Like because Keenan Bailey's shown he can develop. Like he can.
Maxwell Dog too. Don't forget him. That the first guy we already got from the last class. He's still here too. And that kid, I hear some.
Oh, Max LeBlanc. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot about him. He's kind of lost in the sauce too, but like, yeah, they say good things about him too. So like, I think comparatively speaking, like I felt at the beginning of the year, Keenan Bailey was Justin Fry 2.0, and he showed otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like, now listen, I give Justin Fry a little bit of credit, and it pains my soul deep down inside, but like he has done something to like at least make this O-line functional. Like his recruiting leaves something to be desired, but they did pick up a lot of people in
the portal.
Yeah, he's a great recruiter in the transfer portal. It's the high school recruiting where he doesn't do well. Now I will argue for this. I will say this though, it is hard to recruit some of these offensive linemen out of high school. I'm not trying to give him excuses, but it is hard to do that. Secondly, it's not like some of the offensive linemen he's missed out on were stellar, because a lot of the guys he's missed out on turn out to suck.
Yeah,
he's whiffed a lot, and they made some questionable, crazy decisions, like Carson Hensman banished to the shadow realm for no reason. Like,
that was a Ryan Day call. I'm not putting that on Fry.
No,
listen, I mean, still his unit. Like he still could have. I feel like Justin Fry was not there lobbying for Carson Hensman to be in the game.
It was Chip Kelly that actually said put Carson Hensman in. It was Chip Kelly that went to bat for him.
And sadly, I give Justin Fry a little bit of credit for the O-line stuff, but I give more credit to Chip Kelly for calling plays to their strengths now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's what actually I think the offensive line has. I think the offensive line has always been good. I just don't think Ryan Day called plays to help the offensive line. I'll say because offensive line calls a lot of play calling. It does. You need great play calling. Even Kirk Barton tells y'all this all the time. Doesn't matter how good of an offensive lineman you are. If there's bad play calling, there's nothing you can do about that. As
we saw in one game this year.
I mean, look what they're doing with the gap
zone. Players can only do so much when the game plan sucks.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how much talent you got, bro. It only matters. Like, there's so little you can do when the game plan just absolutely sucks.
As you saw, we boat raced the number one team in the country, and we had the worst game plan in history against somebody we shouldn't have, and you saw how it turned out. Same team, few weeks apart. Wildly different outcomes. You know what I'm saying? Like, vastly different. Just whole feelings. Like it didn't even feel like we're watching the same players or the same season at that point. It was literally 1 month apart. Like that's wild.
Yep. Now I'm not gonna lie, I agree with how Ryan Day wants to do it, because it's more like slow everything down and take it to the postseason. Because I think that's smarter, especially because if you don't want to deal with the injuries, that's a smarter way to approach it. But have good game plans still. You don't have to coach like how you're coaching in the postseason. Just have good game plans. Take a part of what you do in the postseason and put it in the regular season, and just coach good, and then start picking it up by the end of the regular season, I should say. Like maybe by the Michigan game to the Big Ten championship game. That's when
why not rotate more? Get them younger guys in and get more plays for them younger guys if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that way, one, they're getting the experience. Two, you never know when you're going to get an injury, and those guys will have valuable, you know what they can do, so you're not guessing. So, I mean, they need to rotate more, in my opinion.
Honestly, it just takes them a while to finally learn that. And it's like, maybe they'll start doing it now since they see how much it benefits their players throughout the regular season. This way you ain't worried about injuries that much. Because that's why those guys get injured, because they play too many snaps.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you can't have like a 330-pound defensive tackle like playing 55 to 60 snaps a game. Like, dude, like that's impossible. Like I'm winded thinking about that, let alone this kid doing that. So like I think there was a lot of kinks to work out with it, and like I think they came into the season with a solid philosophy, but the execution is what led something to be desired. But they worked it out. Like they workshopped the whole thing all the way through as a unit, as a coaching unit. And I think they've worked out all the kinks. Now, I think Ryan Day should actually be just locked up like in Michigan jail for the week of the Michigan game. So he can't touch or he can't communicate with anybody, get nothing. Like you just trust everybody. Like, you've got the helm. I'm gonna go like be locked up and not even watch the game, because I think that's his problem, is he wants to be so involved and he takes it so personal that like it's his vendetta, a blood feud with the whole family. But like,
yeah, I would say this though. I think a lot of it comes down to what Michigan has done to him.
but they're in his head for sure, and I think it's just like he's so blinded now by like the thought of like being downplayed by a team that he's supposed to hate and does hate now. Like I think he finally truly does get the hate that people have in Ohio for Michigan, like because of what.
Well, I think he gets it more because of. I mean, think about it. The cheating scandal is why his life is like this now. Like they ruined this man's life with this cheating scandal, and it put out a false narrative, making him think like. I know we just talked about Lou Holtz, but this is probably why he's doing this. Is because it's easy to get inside of young head coaches here because they hate the narratives about their team being called soft. If you listen to NFL, like the first time type coaches, they have a problem with that so much.
This is the thing too. Like we got to watch Urban Meyer ascend to like greatness. Like if you go back and watch Bowling Green in Utah, like he had growing pains, but we're watching Ryan Day have growing pains on a level of the biggest stage in college football. Like,
but that's because he basically got thrust into the fire.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, it's magnified. Like, where other coaches go through, Nick Saban got to be at LSU and all that stuff, and go to the NFL and all that. Like before, he hit Alabama and hit the dynasty. Like Ryan Day was thrust into like be a dynasty now. Oh, by the way, you've never been a coach before. Also, this is the biggest stage with some of the craziest people you ever dealt with. Have fun. Like, and
to be honest, I'll say this. I think it was probably better for his coaching career that he went through the failures he did, because this could be an interesting case study of how it can lead to long-term success for Ryan Day to continuously be hungry and want to win more. Like Nick Saban, basically. Because he went through it and look how he became.
Yeah, but Saban got Michigan State and he got to go to LSU. I mean, before he went to Alabama, but like Tony said, I mean, Ryan Day got thrown into this fire. First time head coaching. I mean, most of these head coaches, they get to learn on a small stage and nobody's there to see it, really.
Yeah, so, I mean, I give him props.
I'm not gonna lie though. I do think it was better for him, especially to experience failure early. Because someone on Juck's show, I think his name is CF 31121. I gotta remember, but he said something around how Tressel and Urban found early success, but it led to like a downswing. Like they never really had the desire to go win another natty. Because think about it, they had countless times where they could have won more natties. They had the teams.
Yeah, 2015 and they did another one. So.
Oh, like 2012, if it wasn't for Gene Smith. Yep. 2013 they could have. 2014 they did. 2015 they absolutely could have. So Urban could have had 4 natties.
Yeah, he probably should have.
If anything. And same with Tressel. He could have had 3.
Tressel had been winning national championships at Division II like forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Tressel was like a decorated coach when he came in. Just nobody had really heard of him outside of that world. So like when he came in, like he already knew what it took to be successful. You know what I'm saying? Like the same with Urban. Like, Urban.
It's just that they could have done more though, because they found too much early success at Ohio State, which led to a downswing. So they got too much grace when things hit the fan. Like when things weren't going great, or things like took a little bit of like what we're seeing with Ryan Day now. They got a lot of grace because of their national title. They didn't really get the wheels put on them like they should have. For Ryan Day, him experiencing this now would make him more hungry than those two, because think about it. He wins this one. He ain't finished. He could go win more.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, like it took Urban 2 college jobs to kind of really turn into the psychopath that like led Florida and Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan Day, it's taken him some years. It's taken him 5 or 6 years of like having crap shoveled down his throat and being, have bodyguards at his house and like being treated like he's less than, for him to go, okay, no more, watch this. And like, hold my beer. Because like he came in and there's been a whole narrative for 3 or 4 years on Ryan Day. And in 1 year, he's going to go 6-1 against top like 5 or 10 opponents. And like all of a sudden it was Ryan Day couldn't win the big game. And now like he went 6-1 in one season against top teams and beat 4 of the best teams in the playoffs, one right after another, probably by double digits. That will never be done again. Never. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
It wasn't fair because he had some bad breaks against them, man. Let's look at the Clemson.
Yeah, that's true. Like Clemson,
the Georgia game. I mean, those 2 games, man. I don't count them against Ryan, man. I mean,
Yeah, he's had a lot of bad breaks.
He's had some bad breaks. I mean, that's not the only reason they lost the game, but come on. They should have won those 2 games.
Yeah, they should have won those. And again, we all know how we feel about the Javon Ballard hit on Marvin, which should have been a targeting penalty. Or the BS targeting penalty called against Ohio State in 2019. That was so stupid.
Yep.
Listen, I said it at the beginning of the year. This year will be the 1 year that Ryan could coach until he's 70. This year will be the year that they judge Ryan Day on forever. Like, this will be either Ryan Day ascends or Ryan Day can never do it. He's going to be the James Franklin of James Franklin's. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's going to be. Like, that's what the narrative is going to be, because it's this year. I think it's become so prevalent and there's so much build up that like people are going to literally look at it and go, yeah, no, like there's no way, like in 10 years, they're going to go, yeah, Ryan Day was a different person. And then that 2024 season came and all of a sudden like Ryan Day became a killer. And now like he can't be stopped. He's the new Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's
that's actually, this is why I look at a guy like Marcus Freeman and I say, and when I look at Notre Dame, not so in the highest of light, because it's like, y'all don't go through what Day has went through. I think Marcus Freeman has the potential to be a good coach, but until he goes through the stuff that Ryan Day went through, he's never going to be that coach.
And I think he's kind of going through it. Like, he's kind of not on the scale that Ryan Day has, but like, he had lost us in the last second. And then like couldn't recover and lost to Marshall, and then like kind of recovered after that. And this year, they beat
but it's like do it against tougher teams though. Yeah. Do it against teams like what Ryan Day did, because this dude did it against Clemson, Alabama twice. He's had to go through with Michigan.
Well, I mean, and they've always besides this year, they've always scheduled tough, non-conference games. So he's always going against tough opponents. So I mean,
that's my problem with Marcus Freeman and them is like y'all don't do that on a consistent basis. If you did that, your program would probably be better off, and you would grow as a head coach. You would be a better football team. But instead, you like to schedule these cupcakes and act like you own the level. No, you're not.
Kind of like Michigan does every year.
Pretty much.
Besides this year, but I mean,
iron to iron essentially in this case, and I think Marcus Freeman has taken more of the Urban Meyer path. And has kind of an Urban Meyer problem of like losing to teams out of the blue that he shouldn't have. But then he recovers. You know what I'm saying? So like I think I see a lot more Urban Meyer in Marcus Freeman, which makes sense. Like, he's got more Jim Tressel or Urban Meyer in him than he does what Ryan Day has. But like it's a different road to essentially the same place. But like I think Marcus Freeman's downfall is like he, sometimes when he's supposed to win, he kind of doesn't. But when people think he's not going to, he kind of steps up, but like he still loses in the end. And it's a different level of disappointment and probably a longer road than Ryan Day's road. But I think it's a similar thing, but I think it's much more urban than Ryan.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like, I wish you kind of did that at a smaller school, because that would be the difference is at least Urban did it at a smaller school. You're doing it at Notre Dame, which is a blue blood. That's the difference,
right, bro. It's a blue blood, but they don't have the craziness. They don't hold them to a higher standard like we hold our coaches.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference right there, is that's the thing that really annoys me with their fan base, which is like, how are you guys not holding your program to a higher standard than what they should be? Like, if you held them to a higher standard, maybe things would be going well. Instead, you're stuck in mediocrity.
Like Michigan was. Harbaugh, I mean, it was the same old thing over and over again. I mean, he had to do, he had to go cheat and stuff, but I mean, they gave him enough.
The difference is at least Notre Dame could cling on to 1988, where Michigan can't even cling on to anything since 1948. At least you got that one.
I think the thing, Ryan Day's beard gifted a membership though. Ryan Day's beard.
Thanks, Ryan.
The greatest and real man. Literally, I think one thing too, I think it is like Ryan Day had like the things Ryan Day has faced has been like he literally had to see somebody like Jim Harbaugh like be turned into a legend at his downfall when it shouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like Jim Harbaugh was like had to take a pay cut and was on his way out. And somehow all the stuff happened, and it gets put on Ryan Day's doorstep, where he's like, where Ryan Day should have been ascending, all of a sudden now this man has ascended over him, and Ryan Day's like, I have to see this man be called like the savior of the team I hate because of me, like, and that's a lot to shoulder on somebody to go like this should be my spotlight, and I have somebody that like is obviously a crazy person and like okay coach, like is now like the godsend of an entire place I hate. Like that's gotta hurt. It hurts your soul. It hurts my
I would
soul.
say, I wonder how long he's going to be seen as that when the NCAA comes down with the penalties. I wonder how long he's going to be seen as that.
I mean, how long is
in
he
their
going to last?
Delulu era? So
He has a couple losing seasons with the Chargers. He's gone. He's not going to be welcome back in college football. He's going to be stuck as a quarterback.
I know he's going to be lifetime banned because that's what the NCAA want to do. Ban him for life from ever stepping in college football.
And CJ Stroud got his get back the other day. Shout out.
Yeah,
CJ
pretty
Stroud.
much. Yeah, that's for you cheating me. Is what he told Jim Harbaugh. That's what you get for cheating me.
Yep.
I tell you
Shout
what,
out CJ Stroud.
though, I give Ryan Day a lot of credit, though, man. I mean, the guy, he's made mistakes, but at least he attempts to, make the changes. He fires people. He's like, okay, that's not working. He makes the change. He doesn't sit there.
Fires
just be
people by
someone's
proxy
friend.
sometimes,
I mean,
but whatever.
Like a Lincoln Riley, like a Dabo Sweeney, like a Brent Venables. Like those guys are so stubborn they can't get out of the way.
Yep. So Ryan
Day
Day is
all their
willing to
cousins
do that.
and stuff, so what are you doing?
I mean, so it's either, hey, he had to make a choice. Either I make these changes or it's on me. I'm going to be gone. So, I mean,
that's why I applaud him for being that type of coach. But again, that's why I say I don't want him to leave because I'm like, I know he could be a great coach. Plus, you're not going to get this kind of coach again because you got too many of these stubborn morons.
I just hope Ryan Day embraces the killer that he's become. Like at this point, like there's two choices. Like you can go back to being that guy, but you're not. You're not a regular guy anymore. You're like you've shown you can be a killer and like you step on people's throats and motivate people and move through. Like at this point, I don't care if you're playing Western Michigan. Like be a killer. Just be that dude. Just don't go back.
Just keep being a killer.
Ryan Day, and I'm good with it, man. Like I'll never speak ill against you again because I've seen who you can be. That's all I wanted. That's all I ever wanted him to be. I said at the beginning of the season when we played Oregon and stuff, like I wish Ryan Day had just a little bit of psychopath Dan Lanning in him, and now he's got a lot of psychopath Dan Lanning in him, and that's all I wanted. I just wanted him to step up.
He's a much bigger psychopath than people give it credit. I think here's what I will say: show some of that in the regular season.
No.
Put it mostly in the postseason.
I think once he gets that taste, man, of that natty, he gets that taste in his mouth, he's going to be like Urban and those guys that burn out because he's going to be obsessed with it. It's going to be all he's going to think about is they don't enjoy it. They enjoy the first one. Then it's like, well, now we got to come back. How am I going to do that? And, as soon as the season's over and you get that trophy, it's back to work. And it's just going to be nose to the grindstone. So that's why they only last, 5 or 6 years because they burn themselves out.
I think Ryan does have a good thought process though. He's the one who came, like him and Chip are embracing the NFL model of like, like you can because it's really tough in college now. Like the NFL, you can lose 5 games and still go on to win the Super Bowl and nobody cares. Like, but that's not in college. Like losing 2 or 3 games, people think you're the worst team around. Like that's not become common. We just got 1 year of parity now where everybody can cheat legally. So you know what I'm saying? Like in a few years, like everybody's gonna have 2 losses. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna level out like the NFL is. And Ryan, I think, has a good strategy where by that time he'll have the system worked out of like holding people back, but letting them go at certain times. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just working out the case this year, like trying to learn to drive a stick shift. Like first part of the season, he's just like, he's going 25 miles an hour in first gear. Like, maybe we'll hit second gear and we're in second gear, and like, then when he had to like get on the highway, it was a little bumpy and like, it wasn't the greatest, but like we still did it. And now he's, now he's like drag racing people on the street. You know what I'm saying? Like he's out there just burning up the rubber. And I think that's what it is. It's just a process. And now, he learned from his mistakes for once and made the changes that need to be made when they need to be made. And that's all you can do. And that's, he's not doomed to repeat his mistakes. Cause like he faced down what he screwed up and changed it appropriately when he was supposed to do it. That's all. Like now that he's doing that, like I have all the faith in the man.
All right, guys, we've come to the 7 o'clock hour, so it's prediction time.
Yep, we need score predictions. TG, hit us with it. Let's hear it.
All right, 42-10. I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna say 42-10 to be nice. I was really going for you to say 50-10 just because I know Ryan Day could be petty to shut loopholes up in their family. But I'm gonna go 42-10, where the Buckeyes pretty much they score, then they take their foot off the gas, and Notre Dame just only gets up 10 points by the end of it. So most of these is like garbage time.
Sean,
I'm going 38-7. Ohio State.
38-7. Interesting score. I had originally said on a previous show in the chat 38-17, but like I think like I'm gonna embrace the like screw Lou Holtz model here, and like, people are like he's so old. Like I'm like, listen, at this point I'm embracing like
Shut up. I don't
if
care how old you are, just
18
shut
and
up, bro.
above, you can catch the hands. It doesn't matter. 18 to death, you can get it. So like Lou Holtz is gonna mess around and find out. So I'm gonna Shaun took 38-7. We'll go 41-10.
Because I was gonna go 42 to 10, like, but she took it. So I mean,
So you took mine.
I originally was thinking 42 because if you remember, Sean, I did say 42-0, but then I had to say I'm gonna be respectful for Notre Dame, just to say 42-0.
National championship. It is a coronation. Like, man,
I think they get their score at the end as a garbage time. So I'd be happy if they shut them out, though.
Yeah, I'd be super happy.
We've got
Burks
with a fighting Irish prediction. Burks, if you dream of that, you should wake up and call and apologize to Ryan Day. How dare you, sir? Not even.
First of all, Ryan Day's not arrogant. What reason would he have to be arrogant? Exactly.
Listen, it's not arrogance. It's confidence. We're not cocky. We're convinced. Like we have seen.
Yeah, like, maybe.
And we're there. Like I've seen the future. It happens. Like we don the crown, and that's it.
Yeah, because guess what? Us fans, we could be arrogant that we not own the team. The team is not arrogant. They're confident, but they ain't arrogant. They take Notre Dame seriously. Even when they know they're better, they still take them seriously.
No, they're a band of actual mercenaries right now that are just out there like on to the next target, bet, and just crossing names off the list. And I don't think Notre Dame's going to be any different. Like the day that Rudy Rugerter comes out and plays again is the day they might beat Ohio State. That's all it'll be when I'm dead too.
I tell you what, that Rudy was all a fabricated story too. So I mean, a lot of that.
Yeah, it was all about the BS. That dude was a total a-hole.
Do you know who the person who came out of the game for Rudy was?
Gene Smith.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that?
Super funny.
Man,
the AT was playing for Notre Dame. That's funny.
All right, kids, let's get our final words. TG, lead us on to the natty. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's go to the natty and let's win this Ohio State. Let's go destroy the Irish and shut everybody up. Let's go, Day. I'm rooting for you, man. Go Buckeyes.
I want to give a shout out to all the people in the chat tonight. Lunatic, Cheryl, Lacey, Vader, Steely, ZZM, even our friend Burks, the Canadian Michigan fan, Karis and his awesome wife, Beth, Yarshal, if I say your name right. Thank you guys. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you for supporting us. And I say, hey guys, we got one more to go. Let's get the job done. Let's make history.
And just a little housekeeping, like BuckeyeBoys.com is where you get your merch. If you want to get crazy, you go to CursedDesigns.com. Just one D in there. Get all the wonderful designs that come out of my crazy head. And I think we just embrace the coronation. Like go, like this is Queen Elizabeth's coronation. We're taking the crown, and like we're gonna strut out, and he's gonna go down as the greatest run in playoff history, where Ohio State beats every single team, the top teams in the playoffs, by double digits, and it'll never happen again. With that, kids, we just got one more thing to say. OH.
IO.